Since the Todd Boehly-led ownership team took charge at Stamford Bridge in May 2022, the Blues have splashed out more than £1 billion, $1.3 billion, in the transfer market. Premier League teams are only allowed to post losses of up to £105 million, $134 million, across a 3-year period, leaving Chelsea at serious risk of incurring the same kind of penalties as Everton and Forest, who have had 6 and 4 points taken off them respectively in the 2023-24 campaign. Football finance expert Stefan Borson has told TalkSport of where Chelsea stand at present. There was an assumption with Mason Mount, because he was announced on Manchester United's website on July 1 that his sale had been put into this current season, so the £55 million, $70 million to profit was in this season. It now transpires that Mason Mount appears to have been transacted in 2022-23, and that is how they got through FFP rules. We also know from the Blueco accounts that they are currently, from the post-balance sheet events, that they are something like £48 million, $61 million, in profit for this year. But of course, this year from an operating perspective, is going to be even worse than last year because they've got no Champions League and no Europe at all. He added on what Chelsea need from the next window. Really, they have to find buyers for Trevoh Chalobah for £20 million, $26 million, Armando Broja for £40 million, $51 million, and Conor Gallagher for £50 million, $64 million. It's those sort of deals that need to be done. And by the way, they all need to be done by June 30th. That, as we know, is articulated within the Forest decision. There's a whole conversation about how hard it is to sell players in the period before June. The Premier League actually suggested that more or less that it was impossible. With that in mind, and with the Blues struggling to comply with profit and sustainability rules, PSR, Borson went on to say when asked if the West London heavyweights could be stung with harsher punishments than those that have already been handed out. Yeah, well, possibly more severe. I think the scale of the losses they're currently forecasting, to me, appear to be vastly in excess of both Everton and Nottingham Forest. This also means there is unlikely to be huge scope for incomings over the summer, especially after the club spent over £1.1 billion in the past 3 transfer windows. But here are 3 types of player Chelsea should be pursuing in the summer, with examples of players who could be within their tight budget. Let's find out with AG Chelsea TV who they are. An experienced Premier League centre-back, Chelsea should be looking to replace, or even upgrade on, the likely outgoing Thiago Silva. Silva has had a great career, but it's time to go, and his leadership credentials at the club were always limited by him not speaking English. Experience and leadership are clearly what this Chelsea side have lacked this season. Their brilliantly promising, but naive central defensive cohort needs shepherding and organising, and a veteran Premier League centre-back appears the prime candidate to do this. A leading option for this role would be 32-year-old Lewis Dunk, a childhood Chelsea fan who has long proven he has the quality to play for any Premier League side and who could thrive under Mauricio Pochettino. His passing volume is incredibly high with excellent accuracy, and past that he's a born leader with extensive experience. Having only signed a new contract at Brighton last summer, Dunk could be slightly too expensive and talented to fill a role which would largely be non-playing in the long term, but he is the ideal candidate to do to Chelsea's squad what James Milner and Adam Lallana do at Brighton. Another expensive yet excellent option is former Blues Academy product Nathan Ake. Ake has blossomed into one of the league's leading centre-backs at Man City, and if he could be persuaded to join the Chelsea project, his Champions League winning experience would provide this young squad a massive boost. Perhaps the most realistic player to fill this role could be Everton's James Tarkowski. Given the Toffees' financial situation, he could well be available for a cut price. He's a natural leader and would provide the maturity and work ethic to act as the ideal role model for his younger peers. A veteran forward, this is probably the role Chelsea hoped Raheem Sterling would fulfill, but he's not quite become the squad leader the Blues had hoped. Much like the veteran centre-back this squad requires, it needs an older forward to work with the likes of Nicolas Jackson and Mykhailo Mudryk, providing both coaching and a daily example. One player available for free in the summer is 37-year-old Olivier Giroud, who may well be open to a return to Stamford Bridge. Giroud has still scored 12 Serie A goals this season and would be happy to take a backseat on playing time. While providing something different up front off the bench, he could be the perfect short-term role model available to help improve Jackson and Mudryk's finishing and provide necessary experience to guide this Chelsea side towards its potential. Callum Wilson is another option here, despite his injury issues, having been linked with Chelsea throughout the January window, while despite his relative youth Taiwo Awoniyi could also fill this role if Nottingham Forest were to be relegated, and Ivan Toney is the star power choice if Chelsea can afford it, a leader and one of the Premier League's finest strikers, whose price will drop by the day as he gets closer to his contract expiring in 2025. Chelsea are now a mid-table side and have been for some time. Fans may still think they're beyond signing players of Giroud or Tarkowski's ilk, but they may well be exactly the sort of short-term options needs to aid this squad to achieve their long-term goals. A midfield leader, there are different ways of interpreting this, but you'll probably have recognized a pattern by now. Chelsea need older heads in each of the three core outfield positions, and the midfield veteran may well be the most important. This whole side shows flashes of potential but needs gluing together, and an experienced English-speaking midfielder would be crucial in doing this. Joe Cole pointed to Toni Kroos as a potential option, and he has just been recalled to the Germany squad at 34, but it is likely his salary would shatter the wage budget Chelsea have worked so hard to bring down, although he is out of contract with Real Madrid this summer, following the Giroud theme of former players. Jorginho is also out of contract at Arsenal in the summer and could provide similar guidance to the likes of Enzo Fernandez and Moises Caicedo, without demanding huge playing time or a massive wage, and as unpopular as he's become, Jordan Henderson would tick all the boxes Chelsea are after. He's still capable, he's one of the greatest captains of the Premier League era, he's English-speaking and provides something Chelsea don't currently have. Attempting to prize him away from Ajax could prove a shrewd move. Brighton's Pascal Gross is a versatile option and set-piece specialist who could solve a lot of Chelsea's current issues. In terms of more expensive choices, Fulham's João Palhinha would be in contention to start week in, week out, which isn't necessarily something the Blues are after with Caicedo and Fernandez gradually beginning to gel. John McGinn could also be another left-field pick, but Aston Villa are likely to drive a hard bargain to part ways with him. And that's the final content of today's video. Like, subscribe to support AG Chelsea TV.